Coming up next, from San Fran Freak Show, The Savage Nation, from Talk 910 KNEW.
I'm Tim Commando. You can keep up with all things digital Monday through Friday in the noon hour with My Digital Minute on Talk 910 KNEW.
Warning. The Michael Savage Show contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised.
America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation. Here is Michael Savage.
This is Jeff Kuhner from the Washington Times, filling in for the living legend, the world heavyweight talk radio champion, Michael Savage on the Savage Nation. Michael, I want to thank you once again, my friend, for the honor and the remarkable privilege that I have to fill into your giant shoes. For all of you out there, I've guest hosted for Michael before. It is always just such a wonderful experience. And, Michael, I just can't thank you enough, my friend, and God bless you for your generosity. We've had a very, very good show up to now. We've talked about a lot of issues, but the one I really want to focus on is health care. There is now a growing revolt in this country against Obama's plan for nationalized health care, to drag this country into a de facto socialist state. There are, in fact, some excellent articles on michaelsavage.com. I recommend you go to them. Some of them are extremely good, and also, frankly, on North Korea. Go to michaelsavage.com. My friends, I believe that now, within the next 6 months, the defining moment of the United States will be established. The next 6 to maybe 8 months will determine the destiny and fate of the United States as we've known it. Because what is at stake here with nationalized health care, with the plan that the Democrats are now trying to ram through Congress, is not just the government takeover of 1/7 of our economy. It is more than that. It is now the last nail in the socialist coffin of the United States. It is now the last stage of the complete transformation and makeover of the United States into a European-style nanny state. If this plan passes, the United States will cease to be a free country. It will cease to be a capitalist country. It will become a cradle-to-grave welfare entitlement state. We will be no different from the Europeans. We will be no different from many of the socialist economies in Asia. We will have surrendered all of our values, all of our principles, all of the sacrifices that our forefathers made to make this a free, self-governing republic. We will become a European socialist superstate. And this is what Barack Obama and the Democrats have been hungering for the last several decades. In fact, Obama openly writes about this in his autobiographies. He is a leftist through and through. He is a fascist. He is a national socialist. And he now wants to complete the final project of FDR and of Lyndon Johnson, the complete welfare state. You will now become a ward of government. You will now become a de facto slave and serf. The government will control everything. Your pensions, your unemployment, your welfare, even your banks. They will even control much of the industry in this country, and they will control the most important thing of all, your very health. They will determine what doctors you go to. They will determine the price, and they will ration your care. They will make you at the mercy of the state. And that will empower the Democrats. And make no mistake about it, my friends. This has nothing to do with compassion. This has nothing to do with social justice or with taking care of the uninsured. Because all you have to do is look at Canada or look at Europe to see what has happened. Every country that has instituted socialized medicine has destroyed the conservative movement. Socialized medicine destroys conservatism. And here is why. It makes the middle class dependent upon the state. This is what the Democrats are now openly scheming. They want you to be so dependent, so yoked, so tethered to big government that you can never again vote for a truly conservative party. Because if you look at Canada, where I'm originally from, you see the effects of socialized medicine in every aspect of life. People now no longer imagine a time when they were in fact free to make their own healthcare choices. Canada only enacted socialized medicine about 30 years ago, 35 years ago. Before that, it was a private system. Well, now when I go up to visit my friends and my family members, I say, well, you know, what do you think about the healthcare system? To a man and a woman, everybody says it's horrible. They go, Jeff, it gets worse every year. The waiting lines get longer. The procedures take longer to get. X-rays now take 2, 3, 4 months. If you have cancer, it is basically a death sentence. So I said, well, why don't you guys push for private insurance? Well, if my child is sick and I don't have the money to pay for it, what do I do? And I'm looking at them and I'm like, well, what if your child is hungry and you don't have the money for it? What if your child needs to go to school and you don't have the money for it? But this is what socialized medicine does. It reduces you to the level of a child, of a dependent. You are no longer personally responsible. You are no longer self-reliant. You look to the government for everything. You can't imagine doing anything without the help of government. And this is what this is fundamentally about. This has nothing to do with reforming our healthcare system. The healthcare system in this country is not broken. Let me repeat that. The healthcare system in this country is not broken. There is a panic and a mass hysteria campaign conducted by the mainstream press and liberal Democrats over the last 10 years to try to frighten you into thinking you have to give up your private health care. First of all, the number of 47 million uninsured Americans is a complete lie. You have been lied to day by day, week by week, year by year. Because what's happening is this. They are counting illegal immigrants as the uninsured. Well, the illegal immigrants have no business being in this country in the first place. They've been getting a free ride for now decades off you, the American taxpayer. So it's not 47 million. It's more like 20 million that don't have health care. And of those 20 million that have no insurance, many of them, frankly, are like some of my colleagues at the Washington Times. They are upscale, suburban professionals, many of them young, 27, 28, maybe 32 years of age. They don't want to pay for health care, for the premiums of health care, even though it's provided by the Washington Times, because they rather save the money because they're in perfectly good health. So if they have to see a doctor once a year, once every 2 years, they'd rather pay out of pocket. So we're talking about a very small stratum of the American society that genuinely needs insurance, the working poor. And if we were serious about that, there are free market measures that we could pass that could make healthcare accessible and portable. But that's not what this game is all about. That's not what the Democrats are plotting. They know this perfectly well. What they want is a massive government takeover. That's their, quote, public option. And now there are bills in the House and in the Senate that will now, in many ways, solidify Barack Obama's dream of creating a socialist welfare state. But to their shock and horror, finally, Americans are now waking up. Americans are now rising up. And there is now a growing a backlash against big government. There is now a growing conservative revolt. Americans now sense this is our final stand.